Hello, my friend. It is good to have you here tonight. Today I want to tell you about the greatest footballer who ever lived, and about the 20 years he spent failing to win the one trophy his country actually cared about. There is a night in this story where he gave up completely. We will start there. June 26, 2016, MetLife Stadium, near New York. 80,000 people are filing out into the warm night. Argentina has lost another final, on penalties, again in a corridor under the stadium. A 29-year-old man stands in front of the cameras with red eyes and a flat voice. He is the best footballer on the planet, and he says something nobody in Argentina expected to hear. For me, the national team is over. Lionel Messi had just quit his own country. How does that happen? How does a man win everything the sport can offer and still walk away from the shirt he loved most? To answer that, we have to go back much further, to a small house in Rosario, Argentina, and a little boy sitting on his bed at night, with a needle in his hand, injecting medicine into his own leg. This is the story of Lionel Messi. He was born in Rosario on June 24, 1987. His father Jorge worked in a steel factory, and his mother Celia cleaned houses for a time to help the family. A working home in a working neighborhood. His grandmother, also named Celia, took him to his first football matches. When the local team was a player short one day, it was the grandmother who pushed the coach. "Put the little one in." The coach looked at the tiny boy and shook his head. She insisted. The boy went in, and that was more or less the last time anyone had to decide whether Lionel Messi should play football. At Newell's Old Boys, his boyhood club, he joined a youth team so good the locals called them the Machine of '87. He scored hundreds of goals for them. There are stories of opposing kids crying before kickoff, just from watching him warm up. When Lionel was 10, his grandmother died. The woman who believed in him first never saw any of it. To this day, every goal he scores ends the same way, with both fingers pointed at the sky. That one is for her. That same year, doctors told the family something was wrong. Lionel was not growing. He was always the smallest boy in the photo, whichever photo it was. The diagnosis was a growth hormone deficiency, and without treatment he might never pass 1.5 meters. There was a treatment, an injection into the legs, every single night, costing around $1,000 a month. The family did not have $1,000 a month. For a while, insurance covered it. Then it stopped. His father went to the big Argentine clubs and asked them to pay. They hesitated, made promises, and the money never fully arrived. And here is the detail that stays with me. Nobody injected Lionel. He did it himself. One night the left leg, the next night the right. A 10-year-old, alone in his room, with a small needle. Years later, someone asked him if he had been scared. "It became routine," he said. "I didn't even think about it." His father took him to a trial at River Plate, one of the biggest clubs in the country. The trial went well. Of course it did. But when the conversation turned to the cost of his treatment, the interest cooled. To River Plate, the smallest boy in Rosario was not worth $1,000 a month. In the year 2000, a club on the other side of the ocean heard about him. FC Barcelona invited the 13-year-old for a trial, and after a few minutes of watching him play, the club's sporting director, Karl Rexach, became genuinely afraid that someone else would sign him first. There was no contract paper in the room, so he grabbed the only paper he could find, a napkin. On it he wrote a promise that Barcelona would sign Lionel Messi. One of the most valuable contracts in football history, on a piece of tissue paper. Barcelona agreed to pay for the treatment, and the family packed their lives into suitcases and moved to Spain. Lionel was 13. He left his country to save his body, and his country would spend the next 20 years asking whether he ever truly came back. Those first months in Spain were the loneliest of his life. He missed Rosario, he missed his friends, and he cried at night where his father could not see him. At training he was so quiet that his new teammates joked he was mute. Some of them did not hear his voice for weeks. Then, one afternoon they watched him actually play, and the jokes stopped. In Barcelona everything went right. The trophies and the records piled up, and by his early 20s people were already using the biggest words football has. Best in the world. Maybe best ever. With Argentina, the story was different from the very first minute. I mean that literally. August 17, 2005, his debut for the national team against Hungary. He comes on in the 63rd minute, the dream of his life finally happening. A defender grabs his shirt, Lionel swings his arm to shake free, and the referee reaches into his pocket. Red card. His first appearance for Argentina lasted about 2 minutes, and afterward he sat in the dressing room and cried like the boy he still was. It set the tone. In Spain, he could do no wrong. In Argentina, somehow, everything was harder. At the 2006 World Cup, he became Argentina's youngest ever World Cup scorer. But when the quarter-final against Germany reached its final minutes, the coach left him sitting on the bench. Argentina went out, and a poisonous whisper was born. He doesn't sing the anthem. He grew up in Spain. He wins everything for Barcelona and nothing for us. He doesn't feel the shirt. And over all of it hung Diego Maradona, who in 1986 had carried Argentina to a World Cup almost alone. Argentina did not want Messi to be great. Argentina wanted Messi to be Maradona, and anything less was treason. Then came the years of the wall. 2014, the World Cup in Brazil. Messi dragged Argentina to the final, named man of the match 4 times in the group stage alone. The final was at the Marathon against Germany, and Argentina had their chances. Gonzalo Higuain, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, put the ball wide. Then, in the 113th minute, 7 minutes from penalties, a German substitute named Mario Götze took a cross on his chest and volleyed it in. 1-0. Over. Afterward, Messi had to climb the steps to collect the award for best player of the tournament, and the route took him directly past the World Cup trophy. There is a photograph of that exact second. Messi, alone, staring at the golden cup he could not touch. The photographer won a global award for that picture, which is called, simply, the final game. Imagine being named the best player of a World Cup and having it feel like an insult. 2015, the Copa América final against Chile. Penalties. Argentina lost. 2016, the Copa América final. Chile again. Penalties again, and this time Messi stepped up first, struck the ball hard, and watched it fly over the bar into the New Jersey sky. 3 finals in 3 years, 3 defeats. That was the night in the corridor. The national team is over for me. And then something happened in Argentina that nobody predicted. The country that had doubted him for a decade panicked. A campaign spread across the nation under 4 words, "Don't go, Leo." Children wrote letters. Murals appeared overnight. The president of Argentina personally asked him to stay, and even Maradona told him not to leave. A schoolteacher wrote an open letter that traveled across the whole country, saying that children needed to learn the journey matters more than the trophy. 6 weeks later, Messi came back. He said he loved his country too much to leave it like this. But nothing changed, not yet. Russia 2018 ended in the round of 16. Another Copa América ended in the semi-finals. Messi was past 30 now, and the window was closing. Stay with me here, my friend, because in a few minutes we will stand inside a stadium in the desert, where a 35-year-old will pick up 20 years of pain and carry it toward the last chance of his life. And after that I will bring you to tonight, because this story is still happening as I speak. First, 2021. Argentina had a new coach, Lionel Scaloni, and a new generation of players who had grown up with Messi posters on their bedroom walls. They did not see a failure. They saw someone who needed help carrying something heavy. The 2021 Copa América final was against Brazil, in Brazil, at the Maracanã, the same stadium where Gitza had broken his heart in 2014. In the 22nd minute, Newell chipped the goalkeeper, and for the next 70 minutes Argentina defended with their lives. When the final whistle blew, Messi fell to his knees in the center circle and wept, properly wept, and his teammates ran from every corner of the pitch and buried him under a pile of blue and white shirts. Argentina's first major trophy in 28 years. And in the middle of the celebration, he sat alone on the grass with his phone, video calling his wife and sons. Because after losing in front of them so many times, he wanted them there for the winning. He was 34. And he wanted one more thing. November 22nd, 2022, Qatar, Argentina opened their World Cup against Saudi Arabia, ranked 51st in the world, having not lost a match themselves in 3 years. They lose 2-1. One of the biggest shocks in World Cup history. And suddenly one more mistake would end Messi's last World Cup in the group stage, in humiliation. The old ghosts came screaming back. But this was not the Messi of 2016. He stood in front of the cameras and spoke directly to 45 million Argentines. Don't abandon the team, he told them. Trust this group. He promised them a fight, not a result. Then he fought. Against Mexico, with the whole tournament balanced on a knife's edge, he took the ball outside the box and hit a low shot that let a country breathe again. Poland, beaten. Australia, beaten. Then the Netherlands. A match so furious it broke the tournament's yellow card record. Argentina let a 2-goal lead slip in the final minutes and had to survive penalties, and this time they did not miss. Then Croatia in the semi-final, 3-0, with a 35-year-old Messi sprinting past Joko Gvardiol, one of the best young defenders on earth, turning him one way, and then the other like the last 15 years had never happened. December 18, 2022, Lusail Stadium. Argentina against France in the final. Messi against his own Paris teammate, Kylian Mbappé. Messi scored, Argentina led 2-0, and then Mbappé scored twice in 97 seconds. Extra time. Messi again, 3-2. Mbappé again, 3-3. Penalties, 20 years of Argentine suffering handed to 5 men, and the first of them was the man who had watched 3 finals die exactly this way. Messi walked up, calm, and scored. Emiliano Martinez threw himself to his left and made a save. And when Gonzalo Montiel put the final penalty into the net, Lionel Messi dropped to his knees for the second time in 2 years. Champion of the world at 35, in what everyone believed was his final World Cup. In Buenos Aires, more than 4 million people came out into the streets, one of the largest public celebrations in human history. The boy who injected his own legs, the man who supposedly did not feel the shirt, had given his country its greatest day in decades. The story was finished. Except, somehow, it was not. One thing before I continue, my friend. I am recording this while the 2026 World Cup is still being played, so by the time you watch, the ending may already exist. But some of it has already been written into history, and I want to tell you those parts now. Messi came back. At 39, he is playing in his 6th World Cup, more than any man ever has, and everyone, including Messi himself, has said the same thing. This is the last one. And the old man is on fire. In the first match, against Algeria, he scored a hat-trick. And listen to this detail, because football occasionally writes its own poetry. The goalkeeper he beat that day was Luka Zidane, the son of Zinedine Zidane. Messi began his international career in the era of the father, and he is ending it scoring past the son. In the second match, against Austria, he broke the record most people considered untouchable, Miroslav Klose's 16 World Cup goals. He missed a penalty that day, was furious with himself about it, and simply scored twice anyway. The all-time records for World Cup goals and World Cup assists now both belong to him. Against Jordan, he was supposed to rest on the bench. He came on anyway and curled in a free kick. Against Cape Verde, the smallest nation ever to reach this stage of the tournament, he brought down a long pass and chipped the goalkeeper so softly it barely made a sound. 39 years old, still playing like the boy from Rosario. Then came the night that may end up defining this whole tournament. The round of 16 against Egypt. With 23 minutes left, Argentina were losing 2-0. The champions were gone, and Messi's last World Cup was ending in disaster. You already know what happened next, don't you? In the 79th minute, he created a goal. 4 minutes later, he smashed in the equaliser himself, and Argentina completed the comeback in stoppage time to win 3-2. At that point, Messi had scored in 9 consecutive World Cup matches, which nobody in the history of this tournament had ever done. The streak finally ended in the quarter-final against Switzerland, and it did not matter. His corner made the opening goal, his young teammates dragged the champions through extra time, and Argentina won again. And now, tonight, as I record these words, Argentina play England in the semi-final. The greatest player who ever lived is 2 matches from lifting the World Cup again. At 39, 21 years after that red card against Hungary. By the time you watch this, you may already know how it ends. I do not, and honestly, I find that beautiful. For once, we are all inside the story together. Today in Rosario, on the side of a tall building near the neighborhood where he grew up, there is a giant painting of Lionel Messi. It rises above the streets where a small boy once walked home from training, went to his room and picked up a needle. Every child in Rosario now grows up underneath it. 20 years, my friend. 20 years of lost finals and missed penalties, with half a country questioning his heart the whole time. He could have stopped in 2016, and for 6 weeks he did. Then he came back. So if the world tells you that you are too small, remember the boy from Rosario. And if your dream takes 20 years, let it take 20 years. It will wait for you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Before you go, tell me something. Do you think Messi lifts the trophy one last time, or does his final World Cup end in heartbreak? Leave a comment. I read every one. Until next time, take care of yourself. And when night falls, come back here.